Good afternoon and happy Wednesday. So, I want to come to you and I want to share a little bit with you on how I manage an unusual day. And I was really deliberate about the choice of words, how I manage an unusual day. I could have said how I manage a challenging day, how I manage a frustrating day, a hard day, but I deliberately chose an unusual day. And what do I do to manage this unusual day? Number one is what I just shared with you. I remind myself that although it might feel or the potential is there for it to be hard or be challenging or fill in the blank, I first remind myself that I get to choose. And so I choose to start by calling this is an unusual day. This day that I have, especially this afternoon, it's an incredibly unusual experience. And when this first came up to be on my calendar, I will tell you that I had a lot of dread going into thinking about this months ago. Thinking about this, it brought me a lot of dread. And we know that when emotions run high, intelligence runs low. And because of what this day means and what this brings, I didn't want to go into this day with high emotions and low intelligence. So I knew that I had to shift it. I knew that I had to take this time because I had a couple months to lean into it. And I wanted to really shift that experience so that I can show up today with high intelligence and low emotions versus the other way around. But so many of us, we just let that wave wash over us rather than remember and recognize that we have some control over this. We have so much more power over this than we realize. The circumstance of today, I might not be able to change that, but how I show up, how I care for myself, specifically how I care for my human, how I show up and do that in preparation for this afternoon, that's on me. Always, that's on me. And we like to potentially blame someone else or put it on someone else that if fill in the blank never happened, I wouldn't have to show up for today. Well, you know what? Fill in the blank happened, so I am showing up for today. So guess what? I'm going to show up and do my part. So that's the first thing is I really am mindful of how I'm speaking about this day. Some of it's matter of fact, and some of it is just, it's an unusual day. It's maybe not my preference, but it's an unusual day. One of the other things I did, hello, Miss Kelly, beautiful friend Kelly, nice to see you. One of the other things that I do to manage, and one of the things that I have done leading up to this, I've shared a little bit with you about my container. So I have my overarching container. You can call it a container, a filter, or a guidepost. Some people might refer to this as their theme for the year. Depending on someone's container, filter, or guidepost, they might call it a word of the year. I choose to call it container primarily. I also interchange it with filter and guidepost. So one of my overarching container is my mission, lead with love. So I have that container, and that one pretty much rules my roost. The other container, there are a handful of them. One of the other containers I have, though, is that life is always working for me. I firmly believe this. Life is always working for me. Life is always working for me. So while I felt that dread at the beginning when we first learned of today was going to happen, and at some point I will be able to tell you more about this. I can't yet. At some point, though, I shared that I felt that dread in the beginning when I first learned about today was going to happen. And then as I sat with it and I realized I don't want to go into today with high emotions and low intelligence. I I really want to be the one in charge of how I'm showing up, rather than that external force having such an impact on me. So this container of life is always working out for me. Life is always working for me, no matter what. If I ran today through that container, that filter, that guidepost, so a guidepost by definition is there to help you make a decision, typically at a crossroads. A filter, by definition, if you think of the purpose of a filter intentionally filters things out that don't belong. And a container, if you think of a container, my cup is a container is meant to hold something. So using my container, my filter, my guidepost of life is always working out for me, then I can lean into today and say, well, if today is going to happen and life is always working out for me, what does that mean? What does that mean for me? And you know what it did right away? This is why I'm such a huge fan of containers and why I love supporting you to find yours. Immediately, it shifted the experience from me feeling like a victim and me feeling incredibly powerful, because it immediately allowed me to go from this place of dread into, wow, if life is always working out for me and today is going to happen no matter what, then how can this be for me? How can today's experience be for me? How can I show up then and use this as a beautiful opportunity for my behalf? And you know what it did? It changed the story within me. It allowed me to bring that emotion down. It allowed me, so when we bring our emotion down, we automatically then open ourselves up to more possibility, more opportunity, more creativity. And we open the awareness up to, okay, well, what can I do then? But if I am living in high emotion and I'm living from a place of victim, I'm living constricted, and naturally I'm closed off from any of those other answers. I'm closed off from creativity. I'm closed off from opportunity and possibility. But if I allow myself, this is why, again, having a container to me is so important, and to recognize the importance of flipping the high emotion, low intelligence. We want to flip that and have high intelligence, low emotion. Then I can shift it and look at it and say, wait, I am not a victim here. I am not a victim in this situation. Instead, I'm an incredibly powerful human being. And you know what? There is a divine purpose for this. This is in my path, so therefore it is part of my experience. And because it's part of my experience, I will choose to show up from a powerful place. And it completely shifted everything. From there, let me grab my glasses. Jill, thank you for always being so open. I love the idea of always thinking life is always working for me. Yes, yes, yes. And when I can share more with you down the line, this is going to make even that much more sense. And yes, Jill. And yes, for now, life is always working for you. Kelly, Jen, hoping for your highest good for today and forward. Much light within and around your container. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. I appreciate that, and I will take that in. I will take that with me. Thank you. So once I leaned into the container and shifted myself from victim into, wait, I am powerful. I am powerful and I am a co-creator, right? If I believe in a divine God, a loving God, call it God, spirit, universe, love, etc. If I believe in that, then I have everything I need on my side, right? I have everything I need on my side. Life is always working for me. This experience I'm going to have this afternoon, it is working for me. And it is going to be for my highest good. It's going to be for my benefit. So I change that, and I lean into that. So over the last few weeks, I've been leaning into that, and as I lean into that, I'm able to have clearer conversations around it. Clarity around how I want to show up, clarity in the answers that I'll be able to provide, a softening in how I feel. And then from there, from that space, then I practice meditation. Then I practice some tapping. Then I practice some forgiveness work so that I can really ground that in. And then today, how I've managed this unusual day, I worked out this morning, a gentle workout. I ate a delicious salad that I know nourishes me, drinking all the water, relaxed on the couch, softened into this, practice a meditation with my private clients, and now I'm here with you sharing about it. So I'm doing all of these things that continue to allow me to speak into the truth of how I'm choosing to show up, because that will ground it even more. And every action that I take, the other thing that I want you to hear from this is every action that we take. So I use the word victim and I use the word empowered and divine. So every action that I take from my empowered place builds more trust in myself. It builds more self-confidence that I can show up from that place. It builds more self-esteem. So what I've been doing over the last few weeks is really creating what I refer to as anchors. Anchors of feelings, anchors of experiences, because it's possible that when I show up and I'm actually in the room and presented with the opportunity in front of me, it's possible that it flips, right? And that it goes to high emotion and low intelligence. However, if I've done the practice of anchoring in, if I've experienced more of the divine power, empowered being that I choose versus the victim, if I've experienced that more, then I'm leaning into that being my default. And so I'll be able to better access it. It might not mean that I don't feel a whoosh of emotion, but if that shows up, I'll know how to better handle it because I've been working through it. Rather than just, this challenging day is coming up and I'm just going to show up. What if you've been practicing? What if we practice on the easy days so when the unusual days show up, we're ready for them? That's why we practice. That's why we meditate. That's why we show up to the things that we know serve us. This is why attaching and being on your true north journey and aligning to your personal compass is so important, so that you can tap into that all the time because you've been practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing. We don't practice for the easy days. We practice on the easy days so we can show up on the unusual days with a little more grace and a little more ease. Will it be perfect? Maybe not. It doesn't need to be perfect. Nothing's ever perfect. But will I have access to more than I would have had I not been practicing? Absolutely. Absolutely. And then you know what I'm going to do when we're done? We're going to celebrate. Tonight we're going to celebrate. We're going to order some food for takeout. We're going to come home. We're going to enjoy our amazing meal. We're going to bask in how well it went. And we're going to celebrate. We're going to play a game together. We're going to enjoy our food. Probably have some kombucha. And we're going to celebrate. And a lot of people miss the celebration. They might prep, they might plan, they might, prepare, but they miss the celebration. I want you to have the celebration, because you know what that does? That anchors it even more. Even if it doesn't go perfectly, we celebrate because we anchor everything that we can. Let's anchor all of the good, even if it was just a moment. And if it's off the charts amazing, which is my intention, then we are celebrating big. Celebrating big. So that's how I'm going to manage and how I have been managing this unusual day this afternoon. Let me grab the rest of your thoughts here. Rose, I'm busy jotting notes like crazy. Life is always working for you. Yes, yes, yes. Life is always working for you, Rose. Whatever you're going through, I'm sending you my best love. Thank you. I will take it. Thank you. I will take it. So I'm going to send you big love this day. And I'm going to grab a little bit more nourishing food. And then we are hitting the road soon for this afternoon of a quite unusual day that I know is part of my path. It wouldn't be in my life if it wasn't part of my path. And because it's in my life, because it's part of my path, I get to choose how I'm showing up. If it's in your path, if it's in your life, it's part of your path. And since it's in your path, let's choose how we show up. Life is always working for us. Always. We just want to shift what that looks like then and how we get to show up to it. So I'm going to send you big love this day. Thank you for being here. And if you're watching on replay, I'd love your thoughts. I'd love your hello, and I will come back and say hello to you as well. But in the meantime, have an amazing afternoon. Happy Wednesday. I send you so much love. Cheers to more than managing the unusual days. Cheers to thriving through the unusual days. Jill says, praying for you this afternoon and look forward to you being able to celebrate. Thank you. Thank you, Jill. Thank you. Yes, celebration is to come. Sending you big love. Have a great afternoon. Take care. Bye, everyone.